Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, another week, another Reaper update. It's always a good thing, I think. So last week we were kind of working on some music, didn't really make any progress on anything, and then Friday evening I think I started working on a new song using Analog Lab and ended up essentially completing it within a day. So let's do that first. Yeah, actually using Reaper to make music. Imagine that. So I'm just gonna play this track. This is something I completed Friday, Saturday this week, and I kind of liked it. Yeah, so that was a pretty fun one to work on over the weekend. And yeah, it's definitely a different style than what I normally make, but I think it was this sound here. from Analog Lab that kind of inspired the whole thing. I mean, if you just play this along with like the Windows 95 Starfield screensaver, I think it works great. So like traveling through space, that sort of vibe. A voiceover by Carl Sagan, that sort of thing. I really liked it. It could maybe use some transition effects or maybe some like real deep bass, some truly deep bass for like one or two notes, but it feels pretty complete as it is, I think. So from that, is there anything that you guys are interested in? How did I make that sound? What's happening? That sort of thing. A lot of it's Analog Lab. I wanted to explore this new stuff. So there's some strings. There's this. So pretty much just holding down a couple notes on this to create that bass sound. That was basically it. The arpeggio comes from Analog Lab, and I'm playing a couple notes on the Poly D to trigger that. This one is the melody. I don't remember how to play it, but I did a bunch of takes of this to be mostly a real recording. Analog Lab, re-EQ, the FET 47. I have to increase my buffer size. This is annoying me. I consider putting dirty tape on the entire project. And then, I don't know, this is just a little too colored. You don't get the real deep lows or anything, but I forget how to play it. This kills all the sparkly stuff, but I felt like it was way too clean without dirty tape on it. But it was, I admit, the only thing I tried on that. There's quite a lot of filtering on this. So going down to just the very bright and sort of brassy. And then again with effects. Yeah, it's fun. It was a lot of fun to play. Any synth stuff was just played in, and mostly it's just holding down notes for a couple bars, other than the melody. The melody was actually played, and there's some mod wheel stuff happening there. But pretty simple song. Simple works. I don't know if that's my first official song with Reaper 7. I may have done one other. I feel like I was working on something, but I forget. Oh no, I have 2 demo songs. So you've heard those used for the demos. Am I still having the scrolling issue? Yeah. I don't know, like, I don't know if I've gaslit myself into thinking that wasn't happening before, but I'm sure I could scroll through a plugin preset list. But now I have no way of checking a previous version. The Windows version has always been like that. So this is the first completed song, I think. feel like the mix has changed in that one, and not in a good way. There's that song. There was one other. I did have something. I'm sure of it. I just don't remember what the name of it was, I guess. But in other news, this morning while I was having my breakfast, I decided to get out the field recorder. And so here's the setup. Zoom F3, this little Godox Omni lav mic, and I clipped it onto a ruler to give me a little more reach. And I stuck it into my frying pan, and I turned on the sink, and I turned on the bathroom exhaust fan, and got some different sounds. And so in this project, here's the kind of the mostly raw, like unprocessed, but sort of cleaned up. I trimmed the ends, and I got rid of some of the loudest little click moments. Like here, there's some clicks. So I'll just play these. Sort of mid-rangey and bright kinds of sustained sounds, really. Like they're all, no impacts here, nothing like that. It's all kind of sustained sounds. I was watching Game Audio Toolkit, I think it was. I think that's pretty sure that's the name of the channel last night. They had a new video, and something I saw them do was take FilterFreak. FilterFreak is from Soundtoys. This is version 2, which has 2 filters. It has an envelope mode, so it follows the dynamics of the source, and it can move your filters in frequency, resonance, and gain, based on the incoming sound. So that's actually pretty interesting when you take like this this frying meat and potatoes here. And I'll put OTT on here as well. So this is a really kind of weird sound, right? But it can be cool as sort of like a layer that creates motion or movement. I think it's interesting. It's an interesting sound, right? So without that, it sounds like this. I was playing with this earlier, and I was getting something similar to like rain hitting a window. I can't remember what source sound it was. That's sort of like it, like it's windy and there's some rain hitting the window, that sort of thing. So I think that was interesting. What they were doing in the video was magic, like electrical magic sounds from Diablo 4. I thought it was pretty cool. So the same sort of thing doesn't always work on every type of sound, right? That's very like screamy. So might have to take the resonance down or open up the filters a bit so that they're not so narrow. Anyways, you wouldn't use this all by itself. You would use this along with other sounds. So you would have some low-end sounds, some medium, some mid-range sounds, some high sounds. You'd have impacts. But yeah, it's just interesting how you can use something like a modulated filter to completely change the sound, add movement to it, yeah, and make it more evolving. And because it's sort of changing based on the dynamics, you can just choose a different section of the source recording, and you have all these variations from pretty basic source material. I don't like this this trick for the water pouring, because there's not really a lot of dynamics there, but we can take this and use this for just like a different type of sound entirely. So I'm going to take, let's just take this much. Let's make a new track, paste that, and then make this little whoosh sort of thing. And then maybe turn that down. And try reversing it. Yesterday I was working on a script that reverses the fades, and I discovered that, okay, well, let's start here. When you change the fades on an item, there's these curves here. So there's the shape, which is this selector, and then there's this curve, like the tension of that fade. And it took me longer than it should to realize that a curve like this, when you reverse its direction, it doesn't automatically go to this shape. Any action that I use to change the fade in to the fade out and reverse the item, it would have the opposite curve. So like this like quick fade out would become a quick fade in based on just what these curve numbers are. So turns out you just have to flip it, make it a negative number, and it works. So if I've got a steep fade out like this, and I flip this using the script, now I've got a steep fade in. Let's do reverb. Little plate, I guess. Okay, and then let's EQ this. Yeah, so let's just take the frequency, parameter modulate that a little bit. Something they were also showing in that video was almost every parameter would be parameter modulated by itself, by the audio signal coming in. Why can't this work? Something like that, and then we'll just change the strength down a bit. Maybe this is probably too high. And change the Q. Let's make that narrower. And let's just do the same thing with another one. I mean, it's kind of doing the FilterFreak sort of thing, but more manual. You can do this with any plugin. Let's change the strength down a bit. You can do like opposites, like that. Have some cuts, have some boosts. Do as much as you want with it, really. Just adds a little bit of motion. So before, after. You can also do like separate sort of. I don't like that sound, so I'm just gonna notch that out. So it just helps with the dynamics to make it feel like it's moving more. Doppler is really popular for this. Doppler Pro from Tonestrom. The trick with this one is getting the timing right, because I find it tricky to get the timing right for the sound. Let's actually take away that fade and just start it here. You can do something like that. Pretty neat. Let's actually move that to before the plate. I don't know if that really helps, actually. Yeah, OTT on everything always. Let's bring this back. And suggestions, maybe like flanger. I feel like this needs to be wider as well. That's kind of cool. Let's do the kilohertz delay. Maybe put that before anything else. That just adds some more movement and stuff like that. Any questions about sound design and stuff like that based on this? I think Jason, you said you need to do more field recording. What kind of stuff are you thinking? The frying meat has been helpful, I think. That's a good one. And of course, we can just take this and turn off constrained pitch. What is it called? Preserve pitch. And then we'll just stretch that twice as long. Yeah, slowed down frying meat definitely sounds a lot more like rain. I've been fooled by it in real life, thinking it was raining, but it was just bacon. I want to give a mention to NVK, Nick Van Cannell. He's got some amazing scripts, and he just released NVK Workflow 2. There is a pretty in-depth overview of all the changes and the things you can do with NVK Workflow. So I will link to that video. NVK Workflow is a collection of Reaper scripts designed for extremely fast game audio workflows. It comes with 3 different sets of scripts that all work together: folder items, NVK takes, and NVK subproject. Yeah, it's quickly become one of those things that like people trying to get jobs in game audio are asking the companies, do I need to know NVK Workflow to work there? Because so many people are using it. I need to use this stuff more. I wish I actually had a need to do sound design every day because this stuff just looks so fun. Let's play a little bit of this video.
Introducing NVK Workflow 2, the latest installment in a comprehensive game audio workflow for Reaper. This suite of scripts is designed to make your workflow more efficient and flexible, allowing you to focus on the creative aspects of your project. Before we go into the new features, let's take a look at the basics of what's possible with NVK Workflow. With the scripts installed, when you add a new item to your project, take markers automatically get added for each variation in the item. This allows you to quickly audition different takes and select the one that works best for your project. As you add new layers to the sound, you can quickly make edits with the clickless editing scripts to trim, split, fade, and pitch items. Once you're happy with the sound, you can instantly create a folder out of the selected items, regardless of whether other items exist on the track. Folder items are automatically created in the parent track, allowing you to easily reposition or edit the items as a group. Rename the folder item with the rename script, which offers all kinds of advanced renaming possibilities. To make new variations, you can duplicate the items and switch to the next variation in the items with a single keystroke. The new variations are automatically named and numbered as well. Once you're happy with the variations, you can render them out with the render script.
Yeah, so I'll stop it right there. Like, there's already like 5 reasons to get that. This is one of his script bundles. He also has NVK Create. I did an interview with him. He's got Auto Doppler as well. That was recently updated. And this integrates with Doppler Pro from Tonstrom. And this video here is pretty neat. Auto Doppler 2 allows you to randomize all the parameters of Doppler Pro and work with Reaper much better. So you're using this for the sound, but you're using this for automation and just batch creation of thousands of assets. But even if you don't have this, NVK has a Doppler plugin as well that you get with his scripts. Aaron Cendan also has a new script. It's called Multimic Manager. And so if you work with field recorders and you've got a bunch of microphones on some sound that you want to manage, all the different naming all the different channels for the different mics and batch naming things. There's some really cool ideas here, and I believe these are all free. Yeah, I'll just play this. I'll play a little bit of this.
So this is available on my repack and is intended to address workflows related to multi-channel files where each channel in the file corresponds to a specific microphone. Reaper V7 has the new fixed item lanes feature, where on each track you can have multiple lanes. And that's actually super nice for this particular workflow. And this script is intended to help you set up and work with that. So if we run create mic lanes in the Multimic Manager, you will see it creates 6 lanes here. And why 6? The first one is the original Multimic file. So this is the full 5 channels. It's muted and it's disabled by default because it's really there for archival for 1, and for 2, the restore function, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Anyway, good stuff. If you use field recorders and you have 5 mono microphones that you need to manage within a single recording audio file, yeah, great way to manage that. Very easy and good use of the fixed item lanes. You can just easily switch to a different lane with 1 click. I love what both of them are doing. They are some of the smartest people doing sound design, doing game audio work that are also Reaper users, making great scripts. Some free, some not free, but yeah, Aaron's helped me out many times. Let's do some Q&A. Have I seen the chord track script for Reaper? Yes, maybe. I did see one last night in Reaper. Lil Chordbox. Where'd it go? I don't know where the window went. Yeah, I did see the video you're talking about, but I did also see that you can make a chord track in Reaper as well. So there is the script called Lil Chordbox from Feed the Cat, but for some reason, it is not opening today. Last night I was watching the Sounds Human channel, and he was doing a little rundown of some of his favorite scripts. And Lil Chordbox is just this little box here. It is there. It just blends in too well. Never mind. Okay. I learned about this from him. I'm sure I've shown this script before, but I just overlooked it today. Anyways, he shows this script, and he shows that you can create a chord track from it. So if I have, let's just put in some notes here. If I highlight this, it shows me what chord this is. D flat minor, right? Let's have one of them, and then one of these, which is a G minor. So I can right click in this box, export chords as chord track. And so that makes this chord track right above. And you can also export chords as take markers. And so you can see in this item, colors aren't great. I need to change my take marker colors, but it does do some take markers for where the chords change and tells you which chords that is. I may have known about this for a year. I forgot until last night. So when people are asking for chord tracks, I need to keep this one in mind because I always forget about it. The Lil Chordbox script integrates so well into Reaper that it looked like it didn't load at all. Music Theory Helper video? Could be that one. Reaper 7 retains the option to have different input and output devices like most other DAWs, but Reaper has a not recommended warning for this option. Why is this, and what is the downside? The downside is that sometimes there's sync issues. Sometimes the devices can have different buffer sizes, sample rates, all those sorts of things. So on Mac, at least, you're supposed to create an aggregate device. And just click on this plus button here, create aggregate device. And that's what I'm using here. So I've got my audio fuse and a loopback device from the Loopback app, which is just a pass-through, 2 channels. That gives me a separate output to OBS without any other apps touching it. I set that up because 2 weeks ago I had issues with the Caster software. Then last week I was using the Wavelink software, and that software added a ton of latency to Reaper's output, so I couldn't record with low latency. Going through Loopback makes the Reaper's secondary output not affected by any latency and stuff. Logic, Ableton, and Bitwig all provide the option without warning. This warning has been here since I started using Reaper. I use it very rarely, but on occasion it is useful. I don't use it for like regular work, but if I had a laptop and I'm at the studio, I would set it to just my audio interface. But if I'm going out, I might have a USB mic as my input and built-in sound card as my output. So that's a little different than having like 2 dedicated audio interfaces that you're trying to like daisy chain together, that sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe those companies do something on the back end, hidden that fixes that. Maybe they're actually making an aggregate device. This has this drift correction toggle. It's just always enabled by default. I've never tried changing it. Usually sync doesn't matter too much with this. Like I'm never using all my audio interfaces as one device or anything. If it works, use it. But if not, then you were warned. I don't know. Do I do much MIDI stuff? There's a stigma of Reaper being bad with MIDI. There is. I don't do a ton. Like what you saw in that first project today is pretty much all I do. I might play something in on a controller and then edit it a lot in the MIDI editor. But I'm not doing like program changes. I'm not doing very many CCs other than like mod wheel, maybe pitch. I do a lot of things in here like setting up different modes. So I've got a piano edit mode, I've got a drum edit mode, and just basically these are the two screens or two types of workflows that I use. So like anything that has chords, melodies, things like that, or drum mode gets rid of any unused and unnamed notes. And if you load in a drum map, first of all, so notes, CC lanes, load, let's say blasting room, and then go to drum mode, then everything's named and all the other empty sounds would be discarded. Yeah, for other things, I can just go back to like clear the note names or load in a chromatic note name file. So I just make like macros for the types of things that I do. That MIDI mockup video was really cool. I wish he kind of went into details of how he did it, but just playing it back and seeing like how much work went into it and how good it sounded. Yeah, a lot of people say that the MIDI is bad, but they don't elaborate on how. Do I know of a controller that completely replaces a mouse keyboard? Curious if you know of anything faster for editing or programming MIDI. For me, no, nothing's completely replaced mouse and keyboard. I've tried a few different things. So like I've tried the, one of these guys, Megalodon, I think it's called. And I used it for a little bit. And then I started playing Diablo a lot. And then I just set this up as my Diablo controller with these keys as my spells. And then I didn't really bring it back to the DAW area since then. So it's been unplugged for quite a while here. I tried using the Stream Deck originally to be an editing keyboard. So I would point with the mouse and I would press a key on the Stream Deck, but the buttons are too squishy and you have to hit them like right. You have to hit them straight on. You can't hit them at an angle like a keyboard. Yeah, so that never worked for me. It's hard to beat like 80 keys on your keyboard. You can reach about half the keyboard with one hand, and you can always set up different modes. Like now with Reaper, if you need more keys for different types of workflows where the entire keyboard needs to be remapped, you can do that from the action list. It's pretty cool. I don't think I ever tried Metagrid, but I had already set up iPad for Reaper WRB and Web Remote, and it was okay, but it was just, there's no tactile feedback. So you would run the action twice, or you would touch and you weren't sure, so your focus is on the iPad and not on your work. Some device for controlling plugins is always nice. At least having a knob for last touched is really nice. So I was doing that with the knob here, using that for last touch parameter. That was really nice. You can get cheaper devices than this for that. Tycho made a fully mechanical keyboard to do everything Reaper. Yep. Yeah. And doing it that way is more work to get it labeled and change colors and things like that. Yeah, and it's again one of those things like you have to commit to actually using it, or you just put in like 2 weeks of work and then you end up unplugging it because it's in the way and you never plug it in again. Like this thing, like my X-Touch. My X-Touch is connected, but it's on a drawer and it's out of the way most of the time. I rarely use it because it's not right in front of me. But when I'm not mixing, I don't need it in front of me. So I don't know. Tori has a custom touchscreen. Yeah. I don't know about the touchscreen, but I know she uses an X-Touch, possibly with an extender. They've got a custom... It's not CSI they're using, this is the other one. I gave up trying to learn that one. Yeah, she's doing a lot of cool stuff. Okay, is it possible to make sure that the new time selection is not applied until you release the mouse button when making a new time selection in loop mode? In that case, you might have to actually turn this setting off. I don't know for sure if this is it. Seek on loop point change. Look at these settings and see if they help. There's also, like when I make a time selection change, my edit cursor moves to the start. And if I'm playing, it jumps there. Oh, it's a huge time selection. I was wondering why my play cursor wasn't moving. It's just a huge time selection. So yeah, playback can jump. But with this off, if you're just mixing, I would just stop before making the loop change. Imported the script into the repository, but you can't find it. Okay, so you import repository, and if you don't have auto download enabled, mark it to install, then click apply, repack, and then you'll find it in the MIDI editor action list. Amelia, another thing you might want to try is something that has like a button in the center and a D-pad or a joystick, and use that with radial menu. Do you know about radial menu? This pops up and then you hover over and you can insert tracks, you can, I don't know, do different things. So having some dedicated controller for that might be really cool. I've never been able to like stick with it. This is the setup tool for it. There's like a pretty good preset build, but you can customize everything, every page of menus. Here's an improvement I made this week. There's this script called Adaptive Grid Menu, made by Feed the Cat, again, of course. So I used to have this the set of numbers on my main toolbar, and I've replaced them all with this grid menu. So a single button that brings up the grid menu, straight triplet swing, specific grid sizes, and these are all the buttons that I like. All these buttons were what I had on the toolbar before. There's also an adaptive grid, which scales the grid based on your zoom amount, which is pretty cool. So the further I zoom in, the more grid lines I get. I mean, it kind of naturally does that to an extent, but the adaptive is a little better than that. Like this will do like the minimum amount. But if you want to zoom in further than like an eighth note and still have grid lines, adaptive grid is pretty cool. So that's cleaned up my main toolbar quite a lot. I probably had that installed for a long time. I just never found it in the action list. Never thought to put it to, certain things you put in your toolbar, you use it every day, but you don't ever think again to see if there's an improvement. I'd talk to Tori, that'd be cool. I actually don't know a lot of her work. I'd have to look up all the things that she worked on to get some questions. But I think I follow her on Twitter. Is there a way to use parameter link between plugins in different effects containers? If they're in different containers, I think they have to be linked to the container. You might have to actually link it to a third plugin to actually do it. Can Reaper 7 do sample/tick accurate MIDI notes? Sample accurate MIDI? That's not a term that I know. There is something for... You can set the ticks amount. 960 is 2 ticks per millisecond at 120. But yeah, you can go higher than that. Javier, you probably want to just convert it to audio if you needed that sample accurate.
A succulent Chinese meal.
Kelly, how do you do multi-input drum recording in Reaper 7? Can't get multimeters on one track as done in Kenny's video from about a year ago. Setting it up to record on multiple inputs on a single track. Set your track channels to, let's say 8. And then here you can do input 8 channel, set to 8 inputs. And then multi-channel meters, right click on the meter and then set it to multi-channel peaks. That should be all you need to do. I would still rather have it on separate tracks, honestly. I find it way easier. I really don't like the multi-channel thing. What meter settings do you use for default? I use stereo peaks usually. I've got a saved track template that is resurround with 4 separate effects chains. So resurround you can drag this to blend those different effects. And I guess in the center it's silent. I don't remember exactly. But let's set that up. I'm just curious actually if instead of sending it to 4 separate tracks, we can do this all as a single container now. I'm not sure if that's possible or if that's better. I think it would still need the channel modes. But I originally set this up as a way of doing different impulse responses. Okay, so there's no sound when it's in the middle. Oh, when it's not monitor enabled. In the center, it's equally all things. So I think these are just 2 similar different cabinets. Okay, so let's put in an amplitude or something. Classic Catharsis cabinets. Yeah, I was on that forum when he made those. All right, so track 5 is too loud. I gotta change this setting. Changed this last night. Shouldn't have. Allow keyboard commands even when mouse editing. Doesn't allow for all things, but a few times today it's been really annoying. So we can put in different like modulation effects. Sure. Filter mini, I guess. I'll just put in some sort of preset. Disco house. And I'll put a phaser on this one and delay on this one. Okay. Okay. Sound is coming from this now. So, is this a thing that we can condense into a single container? Or is it better on separate tracks? I'm not sure. But it'd be a pain to get the different effects inside of the container. Guided meditation? Yeah, it could be kind of like that. If I just put this in the middle, I can use the X touch to... That was kind of nice. Guided meditation. I wish the sequencer could go half as fast. Just get like really long patterns with that. But that's as slow as the PolyD's sequencer goes. But yeah, that was just like a few random plugins here. Could always change this to a clean amp as well. Going into 4 effects chains and just tweaking the synth a little bit. What's the multicolor rainbow one? This is from Kawa. It's a free JS effect. It's actually a delay with an XY grid. It's pretty cool. All right, so yeah, that was kind of fun. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. That's feels like a good spot to end today. Yeah, join the Discord if you're not there already. We had a good stream today. Links to the things that I mentioned today will be in the description. I don't think there's another Reaper update coming in the next week. That's it. Thank you so much. Thanks for the super chat, Kelly. And yeah, watch the videos. Become a channel member. Join the Patreon. Join the Discord. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Facebook group. I don't know. All those things. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. See you next week.